What is up, guys? Gutsy Cosplayer here, coming at you with a box opening video. It's the first one I've actually done. This is for Magic the Gathering Commander Timeless Wisdom Pack. So this one is Jeskai colours, blue, red and white. As you can see, it contains 4 legendary foil tokens, not tokens, cards. And as you can see, the main card of the deck, Garvey Nest Warden, oversized card. They're like you get in every Commander pack. So without further ado, we're going to move this to one side. I've already opened the box and organised the cards into what I feel is a nice organisational run, and we'll see how we get on. So we're not going to spend too much time on each card, just basically going to read it, what it does, CMCs, all that sort of jazz. So let's get on with this then, shall we? So in the box you get a little itty bitty deck box just like this. This one happens to be red, and inside you get what I've seen for the first time, a brand new life counter. Look at that. See, look, absolutely brilliant. So it goes from 40 to 20 on one side, and then you flip it over and then you carry on down to 1. Hopefully in your Commander games you are the victor and you never have to get that low. Let's put that there. So let's start with the deck, shall we? Okay, so in the first one we have Garvey Nest Warden. So this one is the main card of the deck. Costs 2 blue, red, white, 2, and a Jeskai set. Legendary Human Shaman, and in this one you may pay 0 rather than the cycling cost of the first card you cycle for each turn. And whenever you draw your second card of the turn, create a 2/2 red, white Dinosaur Cat token. And it's been at 2/5. A mother's love transcends species. Indeed it does, me being a cat dad. Alright, so that is the main one of the deck. So you get this on the field, you don't have to pay the cycling cost of the first card, and if you cycle a second card you get to create Dinosaur Cats, and I'll show you those a bit later on. The next legendary creature in the set, Akim the Soaring Wind, legendary creature Dinosaur Bird. So this one has flying, 3/4, and whenever you create 1 or more tokens for the first time, create a 1/1 white bird token with flying. And for 3 and a Jeskai set, you can create tokens you control contain double strike until end of turn. So see, if you create a Dinosaur Cat, you can then create a 1/1 bird, and for the mana cost you can give them all double strike. Next one, Braylin Sky Shark Rider, 3 and a red. 3/3 legendary creature Human Shaman, partners with Shabraz the Sky Shark. So when it enters the battlefield I may search for Shabraz from my library. Whenever you discard a card, put a 1/1 counter onto Braylin Sky Shark Rider, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. For red, target shark gains trample till end of turn. And obviously this can partners with Shabraz Sky Shark, and this one is a legendary creature Shark Bird. So basically a shark with wings. Not something you want to see in a Jaws movie. The 3/3 partners with Braylin and it has flying. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter onto Shabraz Sky Shark and you gain 1 life. For a white or a blue, target human gains flying till end of turn. Now this one combos with another card in the deck, which allows you to gain life every time you it allows you to draw a card when you put a 1/1 counter on anything. So then when you put a 1/1 counter on it, you draw a card. So 1/1 counter goes onto this, so I gain life, which then does the other card again. So this one, Hesperia Supreme Judge. Look at the presence of that. 2 white, white, blue, blue, 6/4 legendary Sphinx. And obviously it has flying, and whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw 1 card. And then we've got the Dragon Wizard himself, Niv Mizzet, Firemind. So it's blue and a 2 blue, 2 and then 2 blues or 2 reds. And you also get flying, 4/4, and whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. Tap it, you draw a card. And then you have the Locust God for 4 blue, red, 4/4 legendary god. And it has flying. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. For 2 and then blue and a red, you draw a card and then discard a card. So when this card dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And the first Planeswalker, and the only Planeswalker of this deck, is Chandra Flamecaller, 4 and 2 red. Obviously has 4 loyalty. For +1 you create 2 3/1 elemental creatures with haste, exile them at the beginning of the next end step. For 0 you discard all cards in your hand and then draw that many cards +1. And for minus X, it deals X damage to each creature. So the first of the creatures, you get Herald of the Forgotten, 6 white white for a 6/6 cat beast with flying. So when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return any number of target permanents with cycling abilities from your graveyard to the battlefield. Next one, Eternal Dragon, 5 white white, dragon spirit with flying. 3 and 2 white to return Eternal Dragon from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only during your upkeep. It has plane cycling 2. So discard this card, search your library for a planes, and reveal it. Put it into your hand, shuffle your library. Next one, for 4 and 2 white, you get the Sun Titan. It's a giant. 6/6 with vigilance, so it doesn't tap when it attacks. Whenever Sun Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return a permanent with a converting mana cost of 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Straight to the battlefield this time. Next one, we have Valiant Rescuer, 3/1 human soldier for 1 and a white. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Cycle 2. So you cycle this card, so discard it and draw. And you have Agitator Ant for 2 and a white. 2 and a red. It's a 2/2 insect. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 1/1 counters on a creature they can control. Goad each creature that has counters, put it on this way. So until your next turn, the creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. Alright. That's a new mechanic, goading. Creature tokens with 1/1 on them, and the goad mechanic cannot attack you. Alright, Spellpire Phoenix, 3 red red, 4/2 Phoenix with flying. When Spellpire Phoenix enters the battlefield, you may return target instant or sorcery card with a cycling ability from your graveyard to your hand. Beginning of each end step, if you cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return Spellpire Phoenix from the graveyard to your hand. Next one, Surly Badgersaur. It's a badger dinosaur. It's probably the first badger I've ever seen. 3/3 for 3 and a red. When you discard a creature card, you may put a 1/1 counter onto this card. Whenever you discard a land, create a treasure, which obviously is a tap, adds 1 mana of any colour. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaur fights 1 target creature you don't control. Next one, Ethereal Forager, an element whale for 3/3, 4 blue. Has the delve mechanic, so each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this pays for 1 colourless mana. Has flying, and when it attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery exiled with Ethereal Forager to its owner's hand. So you delve for it and get rid of instants and sorceries, you can get those back to your hand. Rooting Moloch, lizard creature for 4 and a red, 4/4. When Rooting Moloch enters the battlefield, exile target card with the cycling ability from your graveyard. Until your next turn, you may play that card. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card, cycling 2. Obviously discard and draw. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, a 2 and a blue human cleric, 1/3. And then you tap it to untap another target permanent, and you cycle it for a 1 and a blue. Whenever you cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untap a target permanent. Then you have Nimble Obstructionist, which is a bird wizard, 2 and a blue for a 3/1 fly out with flash. And then again you cycle for 2 and a blue, and if you cycle it, counter target activated ability or triggered ability you do not control. Portal Mage, 2 and a blue for a human wizard, 2/2. Has flash, and when it enters the battlefield, during the declare attacker step, you may reselect which player or planeswalker target attacking creature is attacking. It cannot attack its controller or its controller's planeswalkers. Curator of Mysteries, a 2 blue for a 4/4 Sphinx. It has flying. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, scry 1, cycle it for 1 blue. So discard and draw. This one, Artifact Creature, the horror, this is Psychosis Crawler for 5 mana. When Psychosis Crawler's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. So again, if you can get a draw cycle engine going, theoretically you can draw all your cards and everybody loses all of their life. Cryptic Trilobite for XX enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. Remove a counter from Cryptic Trilobite and add 2 colourless mana. Spend this mana for activated abilities only. And then tap and 1 to put a 1/1 counter back on it. Next one, we have Savai Thundermane, an element cat. 2/2, it's a 3/2 for red and a white. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2, and when you do, the Thundermane deals 2 damage to target creature and you gain 2 life. Next one is Mercurial Chemista for 3 blue white, and it's a human wizard for 2/3. If you blue and tap, you draw 2 cards. You red and tap, you discard a card, and it deals damage to target creature equal to that discarded card's converted mana cost. Into the sorceries now, we have Decree of Justice for XX2 and 2 white. Create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying. You cycle this for 2 and a white, and when you cycle it, you may pay X. If you do, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. So that's a token generator right there. Descend upon the Sinful, 4 white. Exile all creatures. Basically a board wipe. Delirium, create 4 white angel creature token with flying if there are 4 or more card types among the card types in your graveyard. Then you have Achroma's Vengeance, 4 white. Destroy all artifacts, creatures and enchantments. Cycle 3. Again, another board wipe. Dismantling Wave, 2 and a white sorcery. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. And you cycle it for 6 and 2 white. When you cycle it, destroy all artifacts or enchantments. Then you have Windfall for 2 and a blue. It's a sorcery. Each player discards their entire hand and then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. So if you've only got 1 card but your opponent has 7, you can discard your hand, everybody discards and everybody draws 7. Then you have Boon of the Wish Giver, 4 and 2 blue, draw 4 cards. And then you cycle it for 1. Then you have Slice and Dice. It deals 4 damage to each creature. You cycle it for 2 and a red. And when you cycle it, you have it deal 1 damage to each creature. And that costs 4 and 2 red. Migratory Route, 3 white blue. Create 4 1/1 bird creature tokens with flying. And this has land cycling for 2. So you discard this card, search for a basic land and put it into your hand. Next is Astral Drift. It has 2 and a white. And whenever you cycle Astral Drift or cycle another card while Astral Drift is on the battlefield, you may exile target creature. If you do, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and then you cycle it for 2 and a white. Then you have Hoofprints of the Stag for 1 and a white. It's a tribal enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, you may put a hoofprint counter onto this card. For 2 and a white, you may remove 4 counters from this card and create 4 1/1 white elemental tokens. Or create a 4/4 white elemental creature token, with flying. Activate this ability during your turn only. Then next you have Spirit Cairn. 2 and a white enchantment. Whenever a player discards a card, you may pay 1 white. If you do, create a 1/1 spirit with flying. Next is Cast Out, an enchantment with flash for 3 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Cast Out leaves the battlefield. Cycle it for 1. Then you have Martial Impetus for 2 and a white. Enchantment Aura. So enchant creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, each other creature that's attacking one of your opponents gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Next is Crystalline Resonance, 2 and a blue. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Crystalline Resonance become a copy of another target permanent until your next turn, except it has this ability. Next, Ominous Seas, 1 and a blue, enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 foreshadow counter onto Ominous Seas. Remove 8 counters to create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. Reconnaissance Mission, 2 and 2 blue. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you may draw a card. Cycle it for 2. Psychic Impetus for 2 and a white. 2 and a blue. Enchantment creature. So it enchants a creature, gets +2/+2 and is goaded, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. Next, Drake Haven for 2 and a blue. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 2/2 blue Drake token with flying. Next is New Perspectives. New Perspective enters the battlefield, draw 3. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you may pay 0 rather than paying cycling costs. So another way of getting cycling costs to 0. You have your commander on the field, and you have this on the field as well. Theoretically, you could pay 0 for all cycling costs. So you can cycle as many cards you like, create loads and loads of Dinosaur Cat tokens. Next, Lightning Rift. Whenever a player cycles a card, you may pay 1. If you do, Lightning Rift deals 2 damage to any target. That's for 1 and a red. Next, you have Shiny Impetus. Look at that little kitty. Then it's 2 and a red. An enchanted creature is +2 and +2 and is goaded. And whenever it attacks, you create a treasure token. Next, Tectonic Reformation. 2 for 1 and a red. Each land in your hand has cycling red. And then you cycle for 2 for this card. Next is Neutralize, counter target spell for 1 and 2 blue, and you can cycle it for 2. Sorry, missed one. And you've got probably the most expensive card in the deck, Fierce Guardianship for 2 and a blue. If you control the commander, you may pay this spell's cost without paying it. So you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost to target a non-creature spell. The next one, you have Hieroglyphic Illumination. For 3 and a blue, you draw 2 cards and cycle it for a blue. Next one is 2 blue and white. It's a Zenith Flare. Deals X damage to any target and you gain X life, where X is the number of cards with a cycling ability in your graveyard. Next is the first of the artifacts. It is Bonder's Ornament for 3. Tap it to add a mana of any colour. 4 and tap. Each player who controls a permanent named Bonder's Ornament draws a card. Next is Arcane Signet for 2. Tap it to add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. Next, Azorius Signet for 2. For 1 and tap, you can add Azorius colours, blue and white. Next one, Boros Signet for 2. So tap and 1 to create Boros mana, red and white. Next is Commander's Sphere. Sorry, let me just get those back there. Commander's Sphere for 3. Add 1 mana of any colour of your commander's identity in mana, and then sacrifice it to draw a card. And you've got Izzet Signet for 2. Again, 1 and a tap to create Izzet mana, blue and red. Obviously, the main staple of any commander deck, Sol Ring. Costs 1 and taps it to add 2 colourless mana. Next is Raw Green Crystal for 3, and it adds blue, red or white mana and cycles for 2. Next one, Abandoned Sarcophagus for 3. It's an artifact. You may cast spells that have cycling ability from your graveyard. If a card that has cycling ability would be put into your graveyard from anywhere and it wasn't cycled, exile it instead. Next one is Fluctuator. Cycling abilities you activate cost 2 less to activate. That's 2 mana. Next one, Exotic Orchard, first of the lands. Add 1 mana of any colour that a land an opponent controls could produce. Next, Hostile Desert. For 1, tap it for 1 colourless. But for 2, you can exile a land card from your graveyard, and Hostile Desert becomes a 3/4 elemental creature until the end of turn, but it is still a land. Next one, Irrigated Farmland. It's a plains island, so it adds white or blue. Enters the battlefield tapped to cycle for 2. Prairie Stream. Again, adds white or blue, and when it enters the battlefield tapped, unless I control 2 or more basic lands. Shivan Rift. Adds colourless, or you can tap it to add blue or red, but it deals 1 damage to you. Next is Skycloud Expanse. For 1 and tap, you can add blue and white mana. Next is Ash Baron. So it adds a colourless and has basic cycling for land, and it costs 1. So discard this card, search your library for any basic land, reveal it and put it into your hand. Next is Azorius Chancery. Enters the battlefield tapped, and whenever Azorius Chancery enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand, tap it to add blue and white mana. Boros Garrison. Enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand, tap it to add Boros land, red, white. Another staple in most commander decks, Command Tower. Add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's identity. Next, Desert of the Fervent. It enters the battlefield tapped, and you tap it to add a red mana, and you cycle it for 1 and a red, and again discard a card, draw a card. Desert of the Mindful. It's blue. Tap it, add a blue mana, and cycle it for 1 and a blue. Desert of the True, enter the battlefield tapped, taps to add a white, cycle it for 1 and a white. Drifting Meadow, enters the battlefield tapped, add a white and cycle it for 2. Forgotten Cave, enter the battlefield tapped, tap it for a red, cycle it for a red. Is it Boiler Works, enter the battlefield tapped. When Is It Boiler Works enters the battlefield, if you return a land you control to its hand, add Is It Mana, blue and red. Lonely Sandbar, enters the battlefield tapped, add a blue, cycle it for a blue. Then you have Myriad Landscape, enters the battlefield tapped, adds a colourless mana. For 2 and tapped, you can sacrifice it to search your library for 2 basic lands that share a land type, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Then you have Mystic Monastery, enters the battlefield tapped, and it adds any one of blue, red, or white mana. A Reliquary Tower, no maximum hand size, adds a colourless. Then you've got Remote Isle, enter the battlefield tapped, taps for blue, cycles for 2. Secluded Step, enter the battlefield tapped, adds 1 white, so you tap it for a white and cycles for a white. Next is Smouldering Crater, taps for a red and cycles for 2. Next is Temple of the False Gods, adds 2 colourless mana, but only activates if you control 5 or more lands. Then you've got your islands, your mountains and your plains. And then we're going to move on to tokens. You get soldier tokens, 1/1. And then you flip it, you get elemental tokens, 4/4 flyers. Now this is probably the cutest card in the entire game of Magic the Gathering, Dinosaur Cats. It's a Dinosaur Cat for 2/2. You get 4 of those. You flip them, you get 4 1/1 birds. You get 1/1 spirit and treasure tokens, 3/1 elementals and angels. There you go. Oh, you get your 8/8 kraken as well. You get your 1/1 insects, 2/2 drakes, 1/1 human soldiers, and another 2/2 drake. But there you go, people. That is Timeless Wisdom. That is the deck in its entirety. And there is your main commander. Again, Gavi Nest Warden may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white Dinosaur Cat creature token. So just for looks, let's surround Gavi with some Dinosaur Cats. There we go, look at that. Some Dinosaur Cats. So guys, that was Timeless Wisdom. One of 5 commander decks for this year. Obviously go out there, have a look and find out what deck is best for you. I picked this one because I've never played Jeskai colours before. As you may know or may not know, I am a Golgari player. I'm black and green mainly. But I thought I'd have a little bit of a change, go for something a little bit different. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope that you've enjoyed all of my other videos. If you want to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and also have a look at our second channel, which is Talks on Tour. Have a look at that for our latest cosplay interviews with photographers, and you can also look at some celebrity interviews as well. So thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your time. You stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.